What's up, everyone? The first nominations of the season have been made, and the season is off to a rocky start, and it's only day 4. We've got so many live feed updates to talk about, so guess what? Welcome to your live feed update. Jumping straight into the nominations, guys, Frenchie has decided to nominate Alyssa and Kyland for eviction. Now, this came as a shock to many people I saw online. People didn't expect Kyland to be the one. I know certainly in the house, Alyssa and Kyland were both blindsided with that nomination. But on the outside, nobody expected Kyland, considering Frenchie and Kyland actually had a discussion earlier in that day that they wanted to have a final 2 deal. So Frenchie had gone from that to putting him on the block, which is, you know, it's on par with what's happening in this season so far. Everything's very unpredictable and crazy. Crazy is the perfect word for it. So anyway, he has put him up on the block, and you know, people were sort of discussing that Frenchie gave this speech about wanting to target a big fish and bait and all these fishing references, and he was sort of saying to go after a big fish, I'm gonna have to put you guys up. Who this big fish is yet, we don't know, but obviously they're only a big fish in Frenchie's eyes. We are assuming this big fish could be Derek X, could potentially be Travis for shock value, just sending one of the bros home. But at this point, it's really looking like Derek X. We'll get onto this later, but as of now, Alyssa and Kyland have been nominated for eviction. Okay, folks, so now that you guys know the nominees, let me know what you're thinking for this week. Do you think Kyland or Alyssa are going to be evicted? Or do you think there's a backdoor plan in place? Or do you think that something will go totally wrong? Just any of your thoughts, let me know. Do you think it's going to be Derek X, Travis as the backdoor, or do you think it's going to be one of the 2 nominees that it is? And also, do you think Frenchie can recover from his gameplay this week? There's so much to talk about, guys, so let me know in the comment section below. So after the nomination ceremony, Frenchie took Kyland aside to discuss what the plan was, and he had said he nominated Kyland because he wanted an ally alongside him fighting in the veto competition, so he can obviously put this big fish up. And you know, Kyland was saying, what happens if Alyssa wins the veto? And he said then he put the big fish up. All this big fish talk is just very confusing, but we don't know who the big fish is. So as of that point in the conversation straight after the nomination ceremony, it sounded like he was talking about Derek X, but he later sort of implied it was Travis. It keeps going backwards and forwards between the two, so it's hard to settle on who it's actually going to be at the moment. So, you know, it's looking like at the moment the 2 nominees on the block are not the target. Obviously, this is Big Brother. Expect the unexpected. Something could totally backfire and one of them will go out the door, especially if the veto isn't used. But Derek X and Travis need to watch out because Frenchie could potentially be coming for them. Frenchie feels that Travis and Christian are close. Obviously, Christian was going to be Frenchie's prime target this week, but because Christian had won the competition, the wildcard competition, he saved himself, so he could no longer go after him, which is why, again, Alyssa is on the block because he feels Alyssa was close with Christian. He's basically saying, look, I can't get you, but I'm going to get someone out close to you just to pack the punch, to say, back off, don't come for me. But he's now worried that Christian and Travis are coming from next week. What obviously there would be, because Frenchie's obviously sent that message through, so he wants to try and take out Travis. So, you know, Christian's not going to have Travis by his side when the HOH competition comes around next week. There's a lot of different dynamics that are happening, and I'm sure many more things are going to shift until we actually find out who the target is. Sarah spoke to Kyland and said that even though Alyssa is her teammate, that she will have Kyland's back over her. Kyland is her ride or die. Let's see if that follows through. Frenchie told Brent that should he pull the house guest choice coin out of the veto box, he will choose Brent as his chosen player for the veto comp, which is very confusing considering Derek X is on Brent's team. Very random, because if Derek X is going to be the replacement nominee with Brent winning it, then, you know, Brent's basically sealing the fate of one of his teammates, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And on Frenchie's part, I don't know if he's thought that through properly. Then again, though, judging from Frenchie's gameplay over the past couple of days, I don't know if he's thought anything through. It's very random, and it's like watching a dumpster fire. It's like watching a dumpster fire where there is no water to put the fire out and there's no emergency services on hold to ring to come and save the day, because it just is a catastrophe that turns into an even bigger catastrophe with a fire on top of it. So it's very random watching what's going on in the house at the moment. And Frenchie's, you know, promised all these people, he's got, I'm not going to put up a woman for eviction, I'm not going to put up a person of colour for eviction, and then he then proceeds on to do that. And he literally said, like, I'm nearly quote unquote, he said, I didn't like how in BB21 all the people of colour went out first, I will make sure that doesn't happen again. Then he proceeds to put Alyssa and Kyland on the block. He is going back on so many promises that he's made, and he is just not sticking to anything that he is saying. And, you know, that's going to come bite him fast, because people will go, Frenchie's word means nothing, let's get him out, he's an untrustworthy ally. and it's going to come backfire. Put it this way though, I'll be very, very impressed. Genuinely, I'll be genuinely impressed if he manages to get out of this grave that he's dug for himself over the past couple of days. Maybe it's going to be a case of he's done so much damage to himself, it'll be good for the other house guests to keep him around because they know that he is a catastrophe and can't really think straight. Maybe he seems like a nice enough guy, but I mean, gameplay wise, I did expect more as you know, because he's a fan of the show. I did expect more, but it's kind of like I said yesterday, it's like watching Devon from BB16 and watching someone self-imploding from the power. It's day 4, folks. Let's see what happens today and see if it gets any worse, because I'm sure it might not get worse, but it's certainly going to get more entertaining. Frenchie straight up told Alyssa and Kylan together that Derek X is the one who's spinning all the lies in the house and he needs to be the one to go. I'm sure that's going to make Kylan and Alyssa feel a lot more reassured, with Frenchie especially. But you can't really fully trust the person who put you up on the block. So I would say, even though they don't fully trust him, it's that little bit of trust working on them, because at least they both think that they are not the target. And as of this point, I think we can say that we think they're not the target. Everything's so crazy, you can't think anything this week, but I would assume, you know, it's Derek X or Travis. We can't literally pinpoint it on one person yet, because one second he goes, Travis is, you know, we're going to have to get the person closest out to Christian, so we're getting Travis, and then it's, let's get Derek X out, and it's just backwards and forwards, and there's plenty more time until the evictions, so I'm sure things will switch up even more. But Frenchie has told the nominees that the target would be Derek X. Arza was asking Kylan who he will pick if he gets house guest choice in the veto competition, and he said he will either go for Xavier or Brent. So it's looking very likely that if someone pulls house guest choice, that Brent will be playing in the veto competition. To clear the air with Frenchie, Derek X went to speak to him and say that, you know, he was sorry for the mistake he made and he would like to chat later. That's basically just Derek X trying to mend a bridge. I would say at this point though, Frenchie is, you know, kind of set on it being Derek X or Travis. If, you know, we saw Brent, who was, you know, potentially going to be on the block, work his charm and, you know, totally get off Frenchie's radar, and now they are tight like that. So, I mean, if you can work your magic, I mean, it might just work. You never know. I mean, Derek X could talk his way out of being the target this week and shift it onto Travis, but I mean, we just don't know. This is Frenchie we're talking about. Things couldn't flip. I mean, he might end up nominating Julie Chen Moonves for all we know by the end of this week. It's just so nuts. We just don't even know what's going to happen. But Derek X is definitely trying to make the effort to mend that bridge with Frenchie, so he will not be the target. Derek F told Arza that while he really likes Kylan, he feels that the two of them plus Tiffany and Xavier should be the final 4. Kylan can be at number 5. There's strong words already for day 4 talking about a final 4. I'm sure that's subject to change. This is the Big Brother house. Expect the unexpected. Derek X and Brent were discussing the nominees and the targets and all that, and it still seems that the house don't even know what Frenchie's thinking, because, you know, Derek X was saying to Brent, oh, should I try and speak to Frenchie about getting Travis put up as a replacement nominee should someone come down? And, you know, Brent was saying, oh no, don't, you don't want to spook Frenchie, you don't want to sort of send him, you know, thinking the wrong thing, so then the wrong thing will happen and then he'll end up on the block, yada yada yada. And, you know, Brent was also saying that he thinks Alyssa's going to be the target anyway because of her connection with Christian. So again, nobody is on the same wavelength. There's a wavelength of the house where it's like all like that, and then there's the wavelength of Frenchie where it's like even worse up top. So there is no connection in these wavelengths, and this is a very random like sort of reference or anecdote to make, but basically it's to represent the craziness of the house right now, because if there's one word I could describe the Big Brother 23 house right now, it's crazy. That is all of your updates for today, folks. I thoroughly hope you all enjoyed watching and you are all updated on the dumpster fire that is Big Brother Season 23. This is day 4 coming up today, and I'm sure we're going to have a hell of a lot of entertainment from the live feeds and lots more craziness to talk about tomorrow. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear all your thoughts in the comment section below, because there's so much craziness to talk about. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Do all of that stuff. But until your next live feed update, I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.